Hello, welcome to the Sopra Banking Summit 2021. I'm Aditi Trivedi, Product Marketing Manager at Sopra Banking Software, and I'm so delighted to welcome you all to the session where we'll join our expert speakers, Laurent Pack from SBS and Richard Kevin from AWS to discuss if data is really driving everything. So let's join our speakers. Laurent, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Laurent Pack. I'm part of solution offering team at Sopra Banking Software. I'm in charge of the implementation of some strategic initiatives to help our customers on their trajectory towards operated models. I have also drawn the initial guidelines of the data and analytics architecture of the Sopra Banking platform. I'm thus very keen in introducing this session on data-driven company. And I want to welcome and thank already Richard Kevin. He is the lead financial services specialist at Amazon Web Services. He is responsible for the development and execution of strategic initiatives to help customers migrate to the cloud and drive the digital transformation journey. Today, banking sector can be considered as one of the most data intensive in the global economy. Many banks have invested and are still investing heavily in collection and processing technology for the huge volume of data they have access to. Thanks to data technology provided on public cloud platform as AWS, the gap between operations and analytics is fading, and it enables the banks leveraging the value of the data in order to unlock insights and deliver proactive customer experiences that will drive loyalty, increase retention, and also generate higher revenues. So Richard, could you please tell us more on how banks can become more data-driven using cloud technology as AWS?
Thank you, Laurent. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar titled Data Drives Everything, Banking in the Cloud. The purpose of the session is to provide an overview about what it means to be data-driven in a digital world and how modern cloud-based technology can help banks to collect information in structured and unstructured forms, to manage that information in a way that is well governed and controlled, or to put it differently, trusted by business users, and provide that information along with advanced analytical tools and machine learning to drive business needs-led insight that is actionable and value creating. This presentation provides a high-level overview of how banks can become data-driven using cloud technology and examples of AWS customers who have successfully deployed cloud technology to meet their business use cases. My name is Richard Kevin and I'm a part of the financial services specialist team here at AWS in EMEA. I joined a little over 3 years ago from Barclays, where I was a managing director in the global treasury function. And I joined AWS because I could see how digital technology was transforming the sector and wanted to learn more. Whilst I'm not a technologist, like many of my colleagues, I work with our customers to understand the business needs of their organizations and how AWS cloud services can help them to digitally transform. I say help because digital transformation is not just about technology. It's about people, processes, governance and control, culture, and of course, the systematic use of data. It's one of the reasons why we have such a successful partnership with Sopra Steria, our host today. So let's start by unpacking what it might mean to be a data-driven organization. The quote on the slide is how we at Amazon formally define it. An organization that harnesses data as an asset to drive sustained innovation and create actionable insights to supercharge the experience for their customers so that they demand more. In simple terms, it's really about putting data in the hands of everyone in your team, or more widely in your organization, to make better decisions. And you want to make sure you do that in a controlled manner so that you don't create additional risk, particularly in regulated industries like financial services. Now, it sounds relatively simple, and there are few organisations in the sector who would say that they don't make data-driven decisions. However, in a digital world where data is everywhere, it's as much about getting the right data to the right places and people in your organisation systematically, in ways that are automated and productionised, so that it is used to drive efficiency and innovation. To give you one example of the challenge, a recent study published by Forbes on big data said that fully 85% of businesses want to be data-driven, but only 37% consider that they have been successful. So why then is it important to be data-driven? We spend a lot of time talking to our financial services customers around the world, and they tell us that they see rising data volumes, both within their organizations and outside of them. And they want cost-effective analytics, artificial intelligence and machine learning to influence critical business applications and to mitigate risk. Our customers tell us that they're under constant margin pressure in a low growth environment and need business-driven insight into people, processes and customers in order to manage resources effectively. But all too often, legacy technology and the processes that it supports result in disconnected data silos that make it difficult for users to access data. And when they do, they make it difficult for them to deliver the change or innovation from the insight that they want to deliver. This pressure is compounded by its competition from new fintech entrants and traditional players alike, from organisations outside of the sector that are challenging customer expectations as to what good service looks like. Financial customers have more choice now than at any other time in history. Our customers tell us that regulatory compliance continues to be a significant expense driver as regulatory oversight expands in scope, and that cybersecurity, compliance, and operational resilience are key areas of focus requiring more data and tools to enable them to risk manage more effectively. Firms are sitting on petabytes of data, either for compliance purposes or because they think that if they can mine that data, they should be able to identify actionable information. So how do you do this? How do you become a data-driven organisation? Based on our experience in building our data platform with Amazon, our retail business, and the data platforms that we've helped to build with other financial services customers, it requires a combination of people, technology, and process. And while the focus of our presentation today will be largely on the technology, it's important to point out that as we talk to customers about their data-driven journeys and helping them reach their business outcomes, it's not just technology that is important. We also talk about the people, processes, skill sets, governance, and security as part of that data-driven journey. At the macro level, it starts with defining your business needs and objectives. From there, you can begin to layer in the other components. Your technology platform needs to be performant, compliant, secure, and resilient. Your data architecture should enable analysts and data scientists to easily access the data and the analytical tools, such as machine learning, required to experiment and extract insights from the data. The data platform and all the associated processes must be well governed and controlled in order to build trust, so that outputs are consistent and not second-guessed by parties one step removed from the analysis. Organisation, process, and culture often has to change too to maximise the benefit that enhanced data and analytics capabilities can provide to the business. The data-driven flywheel on the right of the slide is a positive reinforcing dynamic that successful digital businesses establish and really drives home the advantage of having technology and data architecture, governance and business processes aligned to specific business needs. The flywheel is what creates competitive advantage that is nearly impossible to replicate. Taking a deeper dive into the analytics flywheel, the overall concept is that we want more data to create better analytics, which leads to meaningful impact for your customers or your business, which leads to more users and ultimately more data. If we look at the example of credit decisioning, starting in the upper left-hand corner, you have a set of data such as banking transactions, credit scores, macroeconomic data, and alternative data, such as from social media. From this data, you can start to do some predictions of a company's or a person's cash flow. You can also do some economic forecasting to get an idea of how the overall economy or industry is doing, and ultimately optimize your individual risk models. This then leads to faster approval times and more fine-grained decision-making on the applicant's case. And if you're leveraging alternative data sets, you could potentially provide credit to a customer base that you previously would have declined, using only traditional data sets such as credit scores. Fintechs targeting customer segments with thin credit profiles are a good example of this. The impact is an enhanced customer experience that leads to more users who generate more data, and that powers the analytics flywheel. One of the important enablers empowering the analytics flywheel is the underlying data platform, and there are three key considerations here. If you think about the flywheel on the previous slide, the inputs from the left-hand side were more users, which drive more data, which ultimately powers the flywheel. As such, you want to view the data as an organizational asset. From a data platform perspective, it should be scalable to handle the vast amounts of data that you're collecting and producing. You also want the data platform that can handle all types of data, whether it's structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. But getting the data is only part of it. The other component of the flywheel is analytics, and this was the top right-hand corner of the previous slide. Here you want to democratize data access. You want to make it easy for your data analysts and data scientists to access the data they need and have the tools to easily experiment with new ideas and extract insights from the data. Lastly, you want unified governance across your data to ensure trust and consistency. Again, the goal here is to enable your analytics team to make better decisions and drive new innovations. And this is where the concept of the data lake comes in. So a data lake, by definition, is a centralized repository that allows you to store all of your data, structured and unstructured, at any scale. You can store the data as is in raw format without having to structure it. And you can run different types of analytics on that data, from dashboards and visualizations to big data processing, real-time analytics, and machine learning to better guide decisions. Digitally transforming businesses understand how using data to drive processes and decision-making creates a wider set of organizational capabilities that build a competitive advantage over time. Rather than quote a management textbook here, this slide draws upon the experience of our customers once again, both in financial services and in other sectors, to highlight the role that data provides along with digital technology. Digitally transformed or transforming businesses use data systematically to understand their customers and work backwards from their needs to continuously adapt to them with product and service innovations. Digital businesses build the ability to focus on value-adding processes and operations and use data to control them and drive efficiency. It is as important to understand how resources are used in a process as it is to understand what those resources are. With flexible, agile, adaptable technology, digital businesses gain the ability to more easily experiment and innovate with small but frequently incremental changes. Such an approach can materially change the implementation risk of technology and operational change programs. With technology and data, digital organizations can simplify and automate IT and operations and integrate new capabilities such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, because the deployment and use of technology becomes more integrated with the business processes it's supporting and the customer-driven outcomes it is meeting. And finally, by building the capability to remove siloed data sources to enable decision-making and consistently deliver business goals, digital businesses are becoming more data-driven. Data begins to be seen as an asset in a digital business, rather than a cost or a side product of processes and decision-making. These are some of the key trends and use cases we are seeing as our customers in financial services digitally transform. Data and its more effective use is at the heart of all of them. Whilst it is tempting to read the slides sequentially from left to right as a kind of maturity curve, it is important to bear in mind that financial institutions are working on business challenges in a number of areas at once, and that the progress they are making and the capabilities they are developing in one area reinforce the others. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to look at the 4 areas in more detail. The customer user front end, or mobile banking and digital channels on the slide, data and agile analytics, core systems transformation, and machine learning and artificial intelligence. So how does data help transform user engagement? Digital channels are a low-cost option for customer engagement, but for many, they don't replicate entirely more traditional channels. Providing an integrated, high-quality, omni-channel experience is, however, enabled through digital technology, in good part because of the data that it collects from customers and provides to users of that information across organisational boundaries. Advisors and agents need tools to digitally transform customer experience. You can empower contact centre agents, branch staff and advisors interacting with customers by giving them advanced digital portals and apps connected to your CRM, customer data and analytics, and messaging services, so that they can anticipate and meet customer needs more effectively. Traditional user engagement channels tend only to capture limited customer data. More detailed customer interaction data enables financial services companies to identify signal and propensity to buy, and then deliver targeted messages and incentives around relative products and services. Firms need more opportunities to capture more interaction data to develop more detailed personal customer profiles. More detailed customer data from more sources allows firms to identify signals when customers are looking to make a decision, buy a new product or service, or simply seek help. Digital businesses can take advantage of more opportunities to sell additional products and services based on customer profiles and interaction data across different channels. Identifying customers' needs and providing appropriate personalization across diverse channels is necessary for banks to remain competitive. Without innovation, user engagement channels lead to missed opportunities, and firms can face a negative cycle of not keeping up with generational shifts and evolving customer demands, not capturing and analysing customer interaction data, not building user segments, identifying buying signals or flagging customer sentiments, and not shifting users to low-cost channels where appropriate to do so. So how can companies get to the ideal user engagement state? They can do this by building a positive feedback loop, where customer data is systematically gathered and turned into reliable insights that are then used to inform customer interactions, both proactive and reactive, and deliver better customer outcomes. As users become accustomed to more personalized, timely engagements from firms in other industries, they seek out the same experiences in financial services. Firms that don't digitally transform channels and that don't capture data to develop robust customer profiles risk missing out on selling opportunities and risk losing customers to competitors. Banks are building omni-channel and personalized experience to address customer needs and to assist them in the transition to digital and remote channels. At AWS, we have worked with many customers to do just this, leveraging a wide range of services to build omni-channel experience platforms to meet their specific needs. An example of this would be Den Norske Bank, one of the Nordic region's biggest and oldest banks. It is in the process of remaking itself as a technology company with a banking license. It rebuilt its mobile banking platform to enable it to roll out new features at pace and lay the foundations for a cloud-native infrastructure that supported enterprise-wide digital transformation. DNB chose to build a lean offering initially, roll it out to customers, and then build a richer application through continuous agile development and deployment. Key mobile banking features were deployed on AWS at launch. More complex features from the legacy system were added subsequently. The quick and easy development available with AWS meant capabilities could be added and perfected, and new ones rolled out in rapid succession. Greater cloud adoption is also helping DNB to fulfill its aim of becoming a more data-driven business. The bank has created a data lake that gives it greater insight into its operations and speeds up its pace of development by giving its data scientists faster access to data than its previous on-premise data warehouse did. DNB is using these insights to expand the features that it can offer to customers. Its data lake powers its customer insight platform that has enabled it to roll out more complex and customer needs-focused services, such as money management tools within its mobile banking app. Nationwide Building Society, the world's largest, have moved their digital customer journeys to the AWS cloud. By building its core digital platforms on AWS, the 130-year-old company achieved unprecedented reliability, scalability, and security. Since moving to AWS, Nationwide has cut mortgage account switchover time from 65 minutes to 15, and has been able to scale reliably and securely to meet spikes in customer activity over 5 times that usually experienced. The second area of focus that our customers have is in building data and analytics platforms to enable decision-making. I mentioned earlier the central role that a data lake can perform in achieving this. A data lake, by definition, is a centralized repository where you can store all of your data, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured, at any scale. Like I mentioned on a previous slide, when we talk about data lakes, it's an entire ecosystem that includes data collection, ingestion, storage, and analytics. With data collection, AWS has a suite of database services purpose-built for different types of workloads, such as Neptune, a graph database, or TimeStream, a database optimized to analyze time series data more efficiently and effectively. You can bring this data into AWS and an AWS-enabled data lake using a number of different methods, whether it's via traditional batch process, where you load the data at a set time during the day, or if you are streaming real-time workloads, you can bring the data in using a number of streaming mechanisms, such as Amazon Kinesis or Amazon Managed Streaming Kafka, or MSK. For storage, Amazon S3 is a fully managed, scalable object store where you can store anything you like: text files, CSV, video, voice, and image files. Once you have this data aggregated and centralized, you can now bring different types of analytics to the data. For example, if you need to do complex analytical queries, you can use a data warehouse like Amazon Redshift. If you want to run distributed computing workloads using something like Spark, you can leverage Amazon EMR, which is our managed Hadoop service. If you want to run some ad hoc SQL queries, you can use Amazon Athena. Or if you need to create some interactive dashboards or data visualizations, you can use Amazon QuickSight. You can also bring machine learning to this data. If you have expertise in machine learning and want to build your own models, you can leverage something like Amazon SageMaker, which is an end-to-end machine learning platform. Or if you don't have the machine learning expertise, but want to incorporate machine learning into your workflows, you can leverage over a dozen pre-built artificial intelligence models, which can be accessed via an API call. Overarching all of this would be data governance and a data catalog. And there are a number of options here. If you want to use a native service, you could leverage AWS Glue, which is a fully managed service that will discover your data and store the associated metadata in a Glue data catalog. Other customers have used a Hive Metastore, as well as partner solutions like Informatica and Calibra. In terms of data governance, you can think of Lake Formation as a centralized authorization layer that sits on top of your data lake. So hopefully this gives you a 10,000-foot overview of how a data lake on AWS might look like. Capital One is one of the largest bank holding companies in the United States by assets, and it specializes in credit cards, auto loans, banking, and savings products. Now, they wanted to optimize their payment fraud detection algorithms to provide customers and the bank sufficient protection while reducing false alerts that negatively impact customer experience. Capital One built a data lake on AWS using Amazon S3 and leverages a broad suite of machine learning tools and frameworks on AWS to analyze large sums of data to help it detect and prevent fraud in real time. By building a data lake on AWS, Capital One has the ability to use data analytics and machine learning to enhance their users' experience while helping inform key business decisions. NuData is a Canadian startup that was acquired by MasterCard, and it uses machine learning to detect and prevent account takeover fraud. Now, what makes them unique is their use of passive biometrics. So they look at things like how fast you type, how much pressure do you put on your keyboard, how do you hold your phone? And by looking at and recognizing these customer behavior patterns, they're able to determine if you are who you say you are in real time without adding additional friction to the customer experience. They built this capability using a range of AWS data analytics services to meet their business use case and continuously develop and deploy enhancements and innovations. The third area of focus for our customers is the modernization of core banking systems. Banks are facing growing pressures to modernize, as customers are expecting a more personalized experience and to be treated holistically, as fintechs are operating with a lower cost to serve to their customers and rethinking the economic model of banking, and as regulators are forcing banks to give customers more control over their data and to improve reporting and loan portfolio transparency. And legacy technology is holding banks back. It's difficult to deploy new business functions with mainframes. Our customers want to move away from large monoliths and to remove archaic interfaces and protocols that are complex and difficult to change reliably. They would like to adopt continuous integration, continuous deployment approaches, adopt microservice-based architectures, and really benefit from cloud speed. Mainframes can also cost multiple thousands of dollars per MIPS, that add up to millions of dollars per mainframe. And because our financial services customers want to speed up innovation and time to market, and adopt best-in-class software from specialist third-party providers. And finally, because with mainframes, users often have challenges finding the people with the right expertise to maintain their infrastructure. A lot of the mainframe specialists have retired or will retire soon. As a result, banks are broadly taking three approaches to modernizing with AWS. They're augmenting their core by building modern cloud interfaces on top. They're migrating their core by moving it to the cloud and gradually refactoring. And they're replacing the core with new cloud-native design application migrations, and often launching a cloud-native bank independent of legacy infrastructure. Augmenting your core is a great option for banks who are not able or willing to modernize their core banking systems directly. By building an overlay on top of the core with modern API interfaces, banks taking this approach can build modern user experience for their customers and employees and enable third parties to build on their infrastructure. Integration with core banking systems to power modern API interfaces can be completed in 2 to 4 months, particularly with the support of experienced partners like Sopra Steria. And new customer experiences can be built in parallel to the core integration, as long as the APIs are defined up front. Migrating your core is often the first step taken by a bank interested in more holistic modernization and the larger benefits case that it can support, as it focuses on reducing their physical data center footprint. Banking can benefit from the flexibility and agility of cloud-based infrastructure and develop, test, build, and run critical workloads in the cloud, refactoring their applications as they go. They can also accelerate digital transformation by deploying new applications and digital services more easily. Replacing your core is a more aggressive approach taken by banks who realize their current core banking system is inadequate and are willing to make the investment to migrate to a new cloud-native system. Banks who replace their cores with cloud-native architectures immediately see increases in process automation and agility, which can improve performance and competitiveness. Microservices encourage more nimble technology teams, rapidly improving innovation cycles that can improve customer experience. As an example of an approach to migrating core systems, Standard Chartered upgraded its core banking and payments infrastructure to better serve customers whilst maintaining security. The bank's global payment system and core banking system are now cloud-native services that use Amazon Aurora to store details of banking and e-commerce transactions. By using AWS for its core banking and payment systems, Standard Chartered is able to deliver faster and more secure transfer of funds with reduced cost per transaction. Global payments are an example of an FSI replacing their core systems. As many of you will know, Global Payments provides payment processing services to merchants, allowing them to accept credit and debit cards, along with other payment types. In the US, their subsidiary, TSYS, is one of the largest issuer processors, running the core systems for card issuers like TD Bank and Barclays. Global Payments made the bold decision to build a new cloud-native architecture on AWS to modernize this line of business. It's a large undertaking, and the migration of existing customers from the old core systems to the new architecture on AWS will take time. Global Payments' cloud-based issuer processing platform built on AWS will allow financial institutions of all sizes to more seamlessly operate the entire life cycle of card issuance and management. The new platform's cloud-based architecture will give Global Payments clients the ability to use the services they need with greater speed to market and flexibility. Finally then, machine learning and artificial intelligence. When we look at machine learning use cases across financial services, it largely falls into the following 6 categories. The first is customer experience. This includes using machine learning in the form of computer vision, such as optical character recognition or natural language processing, to streamline the customer onboarding experience, as well as automate KYC processes. It also includes the use of chatbots to help answer customer questions and requests more quickly, or help employees navigate internal information to help customers in turn. Customers are also using machine learning to enhance their call centers by transcribing their conversations into text and then running natural language processing on that text in real time to extract insights to understand why customers are calling, as well as the customer's sentiment. With document processing, we see customers using machine learning to digitize scanned documents and extract information from forms and tables to automate loan document processing, extract key information from regulatory filings and corporate actions, and streamline due diligence processes. With credit decisioning, where we see machine learning being applied is largely in areas where traditional data sources, like credit scores, are not available. For example, on the retail side, for individuals that may not have formal credit history, we see machine learning being used on alternative data sets, like social media, to assess an individual's creditworthiness. Similarly, for small and medium-sized enterprises, we see machine learning being used across both traditional data sets, such as company, industry, and macro data, along with alternative data sets, such as web traffic, customer sentiment surveys, and other types of research, to provide a credit assessment that is tailored to the specific borrower. We have already seen an example of customers using machine learning to aid fraud detection and prevention. But we also work with financial regulators and exchanges to leverage machine learning to identify trading behavior and patterns associated with market manipulation. With predictive analytics, customers are using machine learning to make better trading decisions and optimize investment portfolios. They're incorporating sentiment analysis on news and social media feeds, as well as analysis of satellite imagery and drone footage as part of their investment decision-making process. Machine learning is also being used in pricing, for example, derivatives pricing and options pricing, or in securities lending to predict loan stock rates, and with credit ratings. On the banking side, customers are using machine learning to more accurately predict loan defaults. And finally, asset managers and wealth managers are leveraging machine learning to create personalized investment portfolios based on an individual's goals, demographic, and other milestones. Such as starting a family or buying a home. As an example of this, Klarna selected AWS as its preferred cloud service provider on its quest to scale from a growing startup into a global company that supports 95 million customers across 235,000 merchants in 17 different countries. Klarna works closely with AWS's compliance and security teams to maintain its security standards and build its core banking platform on AWS from the ground up. Klarna are also scaling up AWS's machine learning services to help merchants train and build machine learning models to better identify and manage risk, predict credit scores in real time, forecast long-term economic trends, and help end users make better managed transactions. So many banks and financial institutions have started their digital transformation journey. The majority are using cloud infrastructure, many on AWS. Becoming data-driven is at the heart of their motivation because of the capabilities it enables and the competitive advantage it helps to build. It is rarely, however, a journey that happens overnight, and as I have discussed, is more than about just the technology. Digital cloud-based technology is a foundation, however. Our experience with customers suggests that those who start small and stay focused on tangible business outcomes are able to make the most early progress and deliver value. The ability to iterate in small but fast increments significantly reduces implementation risks and helps to drive a culture of digital innovation that scales to deliver bigger change and enterprise-wide transformation. In our experience, the organisations that make the most progress are those who engage senior leadership so they become aligned and committed to a clear direction and set expectations for the cloud enabled digital journey. They set aggressive top-down targets in order to move fast and build momentum. And they invest in training to create execution teams that are comfortable with cloud concepts and have short, medium, and long-term plans that deliver benefits early by moving applications, but develop quickly to drive returns on investment. Working with partners like Soprasteria, AWS is helping its customers build data-driven processes that capture the benefits of digital transformation consistently and sustainably. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for this feedback on how AWS can help its customer to successfully deploy cloud technology for the implementation of data use cases. I think we are now all convinced that cloud-based infrastructure provides banks with required tools to treat data as an asset and leverage the value out of it. Ready-to-use technologies in the public cloud make it possible to very quickly add value to the data. In Sopra Banking Software, we are also fully convinced that data is the heart of the bank business. Combining big data technology and cloud technology opens the doors to many possibilities. It facilitates data exchange and collection, whatever its source or format. It reduces the gap between analytics and operations and makes data technology accessible in operational interactions and real-time use cases. This is integrated in our vision, and we are working on use cases to combine the data available in our applicative assets with appropriate technology and with partners coming from our ecosystem. The objective is to propose to our customers high valuable data use cases, as for instance, next best action or offer, or adaptive customer onboarding.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Laurent, for joining us and for that very insightful session. I would also like to thank our audience for being with us here today. If you find it insightful, please do stop by the virtual booth. Well, at SBS, we hope to see you at the other sessions. Thank you again and have an amazing day.